Hello, and welcome to today's session of the 2020 conference. In this presentation, I'm going to cover the policy work DINS has been undertaking in environmental stewardship. I'll quickly go over the industry's position on environmental stewardship and then provide an update of our policy activities. At the regional level, we have some good gains in regional plans for water quality, although some concerns remain in some regions. However, we are facing some challenges with government policies over the next few years. Last year at conference, we presented our view of where the industry stood on environmental stewardship and emphasised that the industry and farmers individually have a long history of stewardship. I've just inverted the diagram that I presented last year to show you our environmental plan and the things that we do. Late last year, the DINS board formally approved our New Zealand deer farming environmental plan that outlines our commitment and actions for environmental stewardship. The first commitment is doing the right thing, which by and large falls upon the farmer with support from DINS, DFA and other organisations. The second and third commitments that I've highlighted are very much DINS-led activities. And you can see how these all align with the three of the four industry strategic goals down at the bottom. I've shown this table at DFA branch chairs meetings for the last 3 or 4 years and at last year's conference. The main part to focus on is the last column on the right. Overall, we should be reasonably comfortable with where most of the councils are at for farming under water quality regulations. Of the regions where there are concerns, these are mostly because the regional plans are under Environment Court appeal, so final decisions or operative plans are yet to be implemented. One region, Canterbury, does remain a concern. Canterbury's numerous plan changes for sub-regions are quite challenging. Overall, however, we've done okay. In the last 5 years, we've provided written submissions and spoken at hearings in a number of regional councils, where our main concerns are stock exclusion from waterways and winter grazing, and in some regions, grandparenthood of nitrogen pollution is also an issue. This time last year, our CEO gave us a pass mark for environmental policy. We probably haven't moved much further than that, but we have scored some good gains in some regions. So I've mentioned about Canterbury. I think that still remains a concern for us. But I think from my perspective, we do have some challenges coming up for Otago, and this will require a lot of farmer input and DFA involvement. Apart from Otago, we do have ongoing concern for Southland, as it has yet to go through a nutrient limiting setting process for its rivers, and we know that there will be some significant changes to farming. However, we have established a very good working relationship with the council, which we hope will help in the council acknowledging that we really are doing the right thing for the region. And we're doing similar relationship building activity with other councils. Turning now to central government, I have to say that this is an area of significant concern that will occupy all of the livestock industry's time for the next 5 years. So we have freshwater management driven by deteriorating water quality. We submitted on that last year, and there will probably be an imminent announcement soon. We've got Indigenous biodiversity driven by declining habitat and key species. And we've got greenhouse gas emissions where the policy is driven by international agreements. While the industry supports the objectives of all of these policies, the Chair, in recent comments regarding freshwater regulations, had some comments which also equally apply to the others. And that is that the deer industry has been a pioneer in good environmental practice, and our objectives are quite clear: to help the deer industry play its part along with all New Zealanders, while making sure that regulations achieve their desired purpose without imposing unnecessary costs or compliance hassles on farmers. So where are we at with freshwater management? As I said, this is likely to be decided before the election, so we expect some announcements on that quite soon. I think it's fair to say that we have had some good outcomes from our submission to this process. Grandparenting of nitrogen and other pollutants, which was on the table, is now no longer there. And mostly there is no stock exclusion requirement over 10 degrees slope. So for our home country farmers, that's exceedingly helpful. But we do have some issues that remain unresolved. And that's stock exclusion in flat areas such as the West Coast and South Island high country, in particular where these are low impact or low intensive land use. Stock exclusion of some wetlands with the same conditions around low impact use. And quite worryingly, a resource consent is likely to be required for winter grazing on land over 10 degrees, which captures many, many farmers who practice winter grazing. As I mentioned before, Indigenous biodiversity, we expect this to be decided after the election. It's not a high priority for the government. But when we do get to address the submissions that have been made on here, we do have some concerns regarding the establishment of significant natural areas on private land and furthermore limiting activities on land adjacent to those SNAs. Lastly, greenhouse gas emissions will be our biggest challenge over the next 5 years. This is because we know that farmers will be facing charges for emissions from livestock, and the default position as part of legislation is that farmers will enter the ETS in 2025. As a result, the industry organisations have formed a partnership with the government and iwi to develop an on-farm reporting of emissions, mitigations and offsets, carbon sequestration, and their subsequent pricing with a view to reducing these emissions over time. You'll recall that the second commitment in our Deer Farming Environmental Plan is that people recognise that we are doing the right thing. We have set up 2 ongoing activities to engage with regulators, and feedback has been very positive to date from both the farmers and the council and central government officials that attend. We will continue and extend these activities where we can. As mentioned, we are also developing relationships with other regional councils and considering how we better engage with the New Zealand public in this COVID-19 world. But now, more than ever, we think that our story of food production in environmentally low impact farming systems needs to be told. And it's not just DINs. The DFA branches, P2P advanced parties and environment groups can all play a part in reaching out to regulators and the public. Shortly, you'll hear from one of our Deer Industry Environment Group facilitators and one of our deer farmers. From all the feedback that we get, first, second or third hand, we are confident that this approach is serving us well. We do have a good story to tell. Our farmers should be proud of what they've done, and it's up to all of us to get that message across. Thank you.